Alright guys, Ruprect here. I want to show you how to make Billy Badass bass drops in 2013 the modern way. Okay, so what I have here is an instance of Addictive Drums and just a regular old kick drum. It sounds like this. Okay, now I'm going to use Sasquatch Kick Machine to radically transform that into a earth-shattering bass drop. So first thing I want to do is disengage the direct signal. So I don't actually want to hear the kick drum. The kick drum's just triggering the bass drop. And really you could use anything for this. In this case I'm using Addictive Drums just because, I don't know, because it was there and it was easy to use. But you could use any other kind of sample. Any transient thing that's going to trigger this will work just fine. You're not going to hear it. Okay, so it defaults to 48 Hertz when you first pull this up. You're going to want that a little bit lower. I want it a little bit lower, I should say. Okay, and that's going to give us this. Now that's just a static tone. So what I want to do is engage the dive. Okay, and right now the speed is turned up too high, so you can't actually hear the transition really. It gets down there too fast. So I'm going to back that down a whole lot. Okay, now that kind of gets us a little bit closer, but the problem is that it's not sustaining long enough for you to kind of really grab a hold of the low end. So I'm going to crank the sustain up. Okay, that's a lot closer. But now the decay knob actually is super powerful for this. You can really kind of tweak what you want. So I'm going to crank that up. All right, now that's starting to sound like something. Now, in Sasquatch, you can take this a couple steps further. So I'm going to go ahead and slap in the harmonics. And this is going to sound kind of weird if you just pop it in and don't mess around with it. Okay, now what you want to do is find the frequency. There's a certain sweet spot where it almost hits the brown note and you just kind of lose control of your bowels. So I'm gonna try and find that real fast. All right, and that's what I want. I want that kind of shaky, that shaky sort of bass drop. All right, so now let me take that out of solo and we can hear it in context. Sounds pretty awesome. And now the awesome thing about Sasquatch is you actually have control over the top end of this too. So you can really add in some click if you want to. So you get this nice kind of transient attack at the beginning of the bass drop as well. So, you know, the old method was pulling up a tone generator and recording it to another track, and that's just a pain in the ass. It's not very creative, and you can't really do much to it. But in Sasquatch, it's super, super easy to get in here and really, really fine-tune the bass drop for the song you're working on. So like in this instance, I'm going down to 35. I can change that to 30 if I want it to kind of die off a little faster. Or go a little lower. I can crank that down just as low as it'll go. And you're probably going to have a sub to really hear that. And then you can mess around with the number of harmonics, and that'll change things as well. So I'll turn that all the way up. So without the harmonics, that's just kind of your standard deal. And then with it, well, that's with no click. So I actually really like having that ability to add that transient pop in there. So let's hear it with the transient, the click engaged and cranked up a little more. Okay, so that adds a little bit to it, and you can kind of dial that into taste. So the great thing about this is that it's so tweakable. So that's how you make a Billy Badass bass drop in 2013. Ruprect out.